pay attention to spelling. I seen that this,
And
St.
you know,
George
with
does the
the
same.
the planning board stuff, it's like every other paragraph spells full ski wrong, or different. It's SKE, and then it's SKY, and then I think I've seen.
All right, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Let's all stand for our pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can we have a roll call of the officers, please?
Kowski,
Here.
Rubel,
Here.
Jackson,
Here.
Deland,
Here,
Bowen,
Here.
Wilkers,
Here.
Riley.
Here.
All right, we have the agenda in front of us. We are going to make a couple changes. Letter A, they're going to postpone until the next meeting. And then I'd like to move letter P up with letter F because they're related. Any other changes to the agenda?
The date.
Yeah, the date should say May 6th, 2025, not April 15th, 2025. Any other changes? All right, do we have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
I'll make the motion that we approve the agenda as amended.
All right, we have a motion by trustee Deland. Do we have support?
I'll support.
Support by trustee Lokers. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There are none. That motion carries. Moving on to the minutes from the April 15th, 2025 meeting. Any additions, changes, or corrections to that?
On page 5, an H there, I think there's a T missing out the culverts. In that paragraph.
Under H.
Oh, it says culverts are the responsibility of homeowners.
People still dreaming about culverts. All right, any other changes? All right, seeing none, we'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
I'll make the motion that we approve the minutes of April 15th as amended.
Support.
All right, we have a motion by trustee Deland, support by trustee Riley. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There are none. That motion carries. Moving on to the consent agenda. We have disbursements totaling $319,433.33. Questions on any of those? Not, we'll entertain a motion to approve those disbursements.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda in the amount of $319,433.33. Pay the bills and file.
All right, motion by treasurer Jackson. Do we have support?
I'll support.
Support by trustee Bowen. Any further discussion? Roll call on that, please.
Jackson,
Yes.
Bowen,
Yes.
Kowski,
Yes.
Rubel,
Yes.
Deland,
Yes.
Wilkers,
Yes.
and Riley.
Yes.
All right, moving on to boards and commissions. We have three tonight. We have the County Road Commission from April 1st and the Planning Commission from March 25th and April 22nd. Trustee Lokers, on the master plan, you guys are bringing that back to your next meeting, is that correct? Okay.
Yep.
All right, any discussion on those? All right, do we have a motion to receive and file?
I'll make a motion to receive and file.
Motion by Clerk Rubold, support.
I'll support.
Support by Treasurer Jackson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There are none. That motion carries. Any public comment this evening? All right, moving on. Chief Gratz. show and tell today.
First thing on the agenda is I have two applicants. One is for firefighter, Allen, and Harris is actually for a dispatch. And they're both township residents, and actually the firefighter actually will float between both stations. They went through the interview process, passed the background, have good character, and I think they fit well in our department. So looking for a motion to move forward with their physicals and hire them.
All right, do we have a motion on those two?
I'll make the motion that we hire Andrew Allen and Elizabeth Harris for firefighter and dispatch.
I'd support that.
All right, motion by trustee Deland, support by trustee Riley. Any further discussion? Roll call on that, please.
Deland,
Yes.
Riley,
Yes.
Guzekowski,
Yes.
Rubel,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Bowen,
Yes.
and Wilkers.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. The next thing I have in front of you is request for expenditures over 500. It is a SCBA bottle. Approach, so understand we received 44 of these with our 2017 grant. Okay, see, these are carbon fiber. They have to be inspected every 5 years, and they expire in 15 years. To replace 44 bottles is just under $300,000. So what we do and what we plan for through our through our capital outlay is to replace 3 to 4 bottles a year to get us to that point. So it's ongoing. So that's what's in there for. You notice there's only one quote because they're all the same price where we get them. That MSF, wherever it is there, is the company we deal with for these right now. So, questions?
All right, do we have a motion on that?
I'll make the motion that we let Chief Gratz buy 3 new scuba tanks.
They're SCBA.
I thought I saw scuba tanks on
Oh,
here.
yeah, we
Just
can
looking
have
at that.
I'll
SCBA.
support that.
No, you.
Riley supports. Any further discussion? Roll call on that, please.
Deland,
Yes.
Riley,
Yes.
Guzekowski,
Yes.
Rubel,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Bowen,
Yes.
and Wilkers.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Any questions on the bottles? Okay, excellent. The last thing I got for you is pancake breakfast on the 18th. It starts at 8 o'clock in the morning. Hope to see everybody there. And then, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chief. All right, moving on to new business, Township Board wages. That is on page 47. So I know there's been some questions, so I'm just providing some data. That's all I did here. It's some charts that I got through the Michigan Township Association. They have an annual wage survey. So basically what I did is I took 2 different measurements, one for St. Clair County only to see where we compare, and then another one for townships kind of similar in size to us, between 7,500 and 15,000. So page 48 is, what is that one? I know that writing is really small there, but that is supervisor. So the top chart is compared to county, other county municipalities that have responded to that survey. And then the one below that is all municipalities in that population range. And the next one is clerk. Again, the top one is where it compares to the county, and then where it compares to townships of similar size. So you can see we're in the 7th percentile, which is pretty low. None of us are complaining, by the way. But treasurer is on the next page. Again, you see the county and then the population metric. Then I also did trustee, and you can see that on page 51. From a state perspective. As far as who determines the wages, the township board is the determiner of the wages. That's in Michigan law. You can see the MCL number there if you want to look it up. You can use citizen committees to kind of help you evaluate those things. If you do that, they're a recommending body, unlike charter townships, which can actually have a wage review board, and their determination is pretty much what it is, unless 2/3 of the board rejects it. In our case, that's not how it works, but in our case, it would just be an advisory board. So that's where we're at. Feel free to discuss. I don't, certainly open to discussion on it.
Did we, is that paperwork here doesn't show the, I think that what we were talking about, or I brought up about the 8%. And how does that fit in for, I mean, we haven't got a figure on that. but
Okay.
that's-
Yeah, I can bring that back. You mean as far as like how it fits in with the budget, that's what.
To me, it's only fair, especially since you haven't had increases for years, and we know that, it's on here. But I'd like to see us, that 8% was the same as we gave the union.
Mhm.
And it seems fit that that's be everybody else too.
The only problem I would have with that is we voted down the 3%, but we gave it to like our non-union people,
Mhm.
but we didn't vote it for us. So if we can't really come back and give us an 8% without giving that to, you know, the other non-union people, like I think the fire department and the
Yeah.
assessor
Mhm.
and
Right.
the building inspector or blight enforcer or whatever, but you know, it's not just the 7 of us up here to be all up in the lot.
I think the big thing with me is, you know, you haven't had one for years. Had the other people had increases?
I think we give them about
We try to do 'em
3% a
every
year
year.
or something.
Yeah,
It's
we
like-
try to do it every year.
Yeah,
You know, it's, the object is if something happened that, well, I hate to say this, but somebody passes away and you try to fill that spot, it's not that easy. You know, I mean, I know for just looking at the supervisor and the clerk and the treasurer there, for God's sakes, you know, we should take care of our employees. And if that offends somebody, well, then that's unfortunate. But my feeling is that you want good people on for the board, you take care of them. You don't make them rich, but you just take care of them. And taking care of them is not to give raises for 10 years, and then we're looking at a raise, and then there's questions about it. I don't agree that we shouldn't do anything. I think that's ridiculous.
All right, I can bring back both numbers. I can bring back a 3% and an 8%, and, yeah, we can take a look at both.
Okay.
Yeah, I brought up the last one, so I can't bring it up, so.
Everyone good with that? Then we'll move on. All right.
Did we go past the cross connection?
No, that's next. Cross, it's out of order in the agenda packet. So cross connections is on page 45, so you just have to go back a couple pages.
Okay, this is basically software to keep a more timely pattern on getting our cross connections or backflow preventers checked on a regular basis. And it will let us know the last time that we were there, and who did what, and if there was any issues there. That's just, this is the better way of keeping track of it instead of having to, Shelley does well with the Excel sheet, but I think we should have a regular program at it. And cost-based software is $1,499 per year, or you can pay $149 per month. It's just, it's one of those things that it's hard to make appointments. You have to wait. people, you can't get a hold of everybody, so we gotta know who's been taken care of and who hasn't in a more efficient way.
Has EGLE had any comments at all about our cross-connection program?
That I do not know.
They know that we're working on it. I've been in contact with them.
Are they familiar with any other programs other than this one, do you know? Do
I
we
know
know?
the Infomat that we already have is helpful, but this would be more personal.
Okay. Other questions on that? All right, do we have a motion on that?
I'll make a motion to approve the cross-connection software in the amount of $1,499 per year, or $149 per month.
All right, we have a motion by Treasurer Jackson. Do we have support?
I'll support.
We have support by Trustee Bowen. Any further discussion? Roll call on that, please.
Jackson,
Yes.
Bowen,
Yes.
Guzekowski,
Yes.
Rubel,
Yes.
Deland,
Yes.
Lopers,
Yes.
Riley,
Yes.
motion carries.
All right, next we have a letter from, it's out of order here, so it is in here. I think this is a request from the Planning Commission to waive a special exception fee. I did see it, I just don't remember where it was at here. Someone have a page number there?
46.
26, was on the back.
No, that wasn't it.
46.
So basically, what was it, the river that was in there?
The
Yes.
river, yeah.
The river was in the Kimball School building, used it as a church. They have since moved, I believe, back to their previous location, out on Westwater maybe. The Apostolic Church, which was on Barth Road, has since moved into that location there on Griswold. There should be a special exception use for that. There should have been with the previous use, but there wasn't. So the Planning Commission is requesting that we consider waiving the $400 special exception fee. You can see the costs there, $178.75.
I have a question for you there. So this new church that's coming, you know, the river was letting us use that for our elections.
Mhm.
Will this new church also, I was just thinking that maybe we could waive the fees because they let us use it for our elections. And it's really nice out there
Mhm.
to do that. So I would make the motion that we waive their special exception fees.
All right, motion by Trustee Deland. Do we have support for that?
I'll support that.
Support by Trustee Lokers. Any further discussion? All right, roll call on that, please.
Deland,
Yes.
Lopers,
Yes.
Guzekowski,
Yes.
Rubel,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Bowen,
Yes.
and Riley.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, moving on to Smiths Creek Landfill. EGLE has issued a draft consent order with the landfill. I think I included a copy of it. If not, you can see it. It's online on our website. It's pretty lengthy, pretty detailed. It basically takes all of the violations and includes them into one document with dates on it. I would encourage you, if you haven't done so, to read all of the violation notices and all of the responses. I would especially recommend that you read the 8th one, because I think the 8th one has got a lot of information in it related to Domtar. I think some of the things that concern me are, like in the first violation, there was no monitoring of various aspects in cell 8. And that's because state of Michigan didn't require it until it's 5 years old, right? So that to me is concerning. Why are we waiting that long to start to do that testing, and then something goes wrong and now we're behind the 8 ball? We should have been testing for that from the beginning. That's a state law issue. The thing with Domtar, also a state law issue. State of Michigan is the one that approved for Domtar to dump their stuff into cell 8. And what it wound up being is it wound up being a whole lot more than what the landfill had anticipated it being. And I will tell you, the landfill told me from the beginning they thought the problem was in cell 8, and that wasn't the only problem, but a lot of the problem was there in cell 8. So I think the state needs to address some of these things to make sure that they're protecting people as well as the landfill. What I didn't like about the landfill responses is there was never any dates. So the DEQ violation, or EGLE violations required a date by which corrective action would be implemented. And there were never any dates in any of the responses. And EGLE never held them to it, which is kind of disturbing to me. And it makes it more disturbing because now you've got a consent order with dates. Are you really going to hold them to those dates? I certainly would hope so, but at the same time, you didn't hold them to it to begin with. So I do have some concerns about that. There's a penalty in there. So I think the penalty is I want to say it's a $140,000 penalty, along with some other costs, so it pushes the entire fee up close to $200,000. And I said this to EGLE from the beginning. I don't like that mechanism for a publicly held landfill. Our residents suffered the smells, and now they're also going to have to pay for the fee because it's publicly owned. It's different if it's a private owned. That's the only method you have to get to a privately held one. There's public pressure that happens when a public held landfill fails. I mean, people have been at County Board of Commissioners meetings almost every single meeting since this has been going on. So there's that public pressure. So to me, it would make more sense to use it's called an SEP. It's just a special project that can be used in lieu of a fine. And it just has to be some sort of environmental project. I just did a Google search and kind of came up with a whole bunch of them that showed up there. So I put those in there just for you to see what kind of things that it could be. But to me, it would make more sense for EGLE to allow for an SEP as opposed to making the entire thing a fine. All that's going to happen with the fine is just going to go into EGLE's pocket. The state of Michigan's going to do what the state of Michigan's going to do. If we do an SEP, at least some of that money is going to stay locally and do some kind of good. Now I know that some people have recommended a park over on the landfill property. No one is going to a park at the landfill.
It was
Okay.
Mr.
I mean-
Felix.
It was
He
Mr.
said-
Felix.
Yeah, he
I
said
mean,
they do skiing on
and you
them.
will, and believe me, you'll see it. There are a lot of projects where closed landfills are turned into a park. This is an active landfill. No one's going to hang out there.
Just imagine
So-
People don't wanna
how
live
much
there. They wanna live around there.
Right,
I
right.
just talked to a resident a couple of days ago, she just sold her house,
So, I mean,
so.
although the park idea it's kind of neat, that's just not gonna work, right?
You
So,
see if it was like the one up in Fort Gratiot that's been closed for
right,
forever,
right,
but.
yeah.
They got one in St. Louis County right up 46,
Yeah.
and they tried to make a sledding kennel out of it. Nobody went there.
Yeah. So I mean, there are other projects though that they could do, and I would rather see them do something. I don't care if it's a nature preserve, it doesn't matter to me. I would rather just see some of that money stay here locally than it go all off to EGLE. I know the county has met with EGLE about that. I don't know where they stand on that. So some other things that I want to talk about kind of along those same lines. I know that the contract with what's the kind of engineering firm?
CTI?
CTI, yeah, thank you. Had come up for discussion. Please keep in mind that the landfill is still in litigation. So they're not gonna make any changes during litigation. If you start doing that, then you harm your bargaining power in the litigation, so they're not gonna make any changes. However, they did agree to hire an outside consulting firm to review what's gone on, review their practices, and I think that's a good thing. I think that's a step in the right direction. I think some more of that will go on once they've settled the lawsuit, once this consent order is finalized and out of the way, then I think you'll start to see some more of that because they'll have some more latitude to do some of those things. So I thought I went through the consent order page by page. It covers everything that was in the violation notices. And so I wrote a resolution supporting it, which was in the back, so.
It was on page 86, isn't it? I think that's the one I was just reading.
84.
Yeah, page
84.
84. So basically just saying that, you know, we support the consent order, provided that EGLE provides proper oversight on the consent order. We realize that there's monetary penalties, but we would like to see an SEP if it can be done as opposed to those penalties. That's something, by the way, these are negotiated, so that's a negotiation between the county and EGLE. But to me, it would make more sense to do an SEP, at least for part of it.
I think that Mr. Felix, he's part of that lawsuit, isn't he? I think he's.
He
I
kind of
think
started
I
that
read
lawsuit, but he's not, he's withdrawn himself from that.
Because of his position on
Correct,
the
yeah.
okay.
Questions on the resolution? So do we have a motion to adopt resolution 25-25?
Yes, I'll make the motion that we adopt resolution number 2025-25.
I'll support.
We have motion, we have support. Any further discussion? Roll call on that, please.
I'm sorry, who supported?
Trustee Lokers?
Okay, Deland,
Yes.
Wilkers,
Yes.
Guzekowski,
Yes.
Rubel,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Bowen,
Yes.
and Riley.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Just so you know, we do have a couple of meeting dates with EGLE. So May 22nd here at this office will be a kind of an open forum meeting. EGLE will be conducting that. They will talk about the consent order, what it is, how it works, that sort of thing. They will open it up to questions from the community members. So it's a live, interactive meeting. Then we have a second meeting on May 29th. That one will be held via, I don't know what they use, Microsoft Teams or Zoom or whatever they use. But that'll be the official hearing on the consent order. We're gonna broadcast that live here in the meeting room, so people that want to attend live can do so. You'll also be able to make comments at that meeting that can be shared with EGLE as well. So,
What time does that start?
What time with the meeting?
the 22nd, I believe, is at 6. I'm not, I can't remember for sure on the 29th. I wanna say it's 6 o'clock also, but I'm not 100% sure. All right, moving on to gravel road maintenance. It's a fun one. So we've got our work orders. They were in the very back of your packet. We kind of got them a little bit late, but our general gravel haul is on page 5 of that packet way at the back. It's $258,148. We do have match money that will be used to reduce that of about $50,000, so it's gonna be around $200,000 for that gravel haul. Roads that are getting done this year are the north and south roads. You can see a list of them on page 7, as well as how much gravel is used on those roads. And then if you want a map, there's also a map on page 8. Very technical map. Questions on that? All right, do we have a motion to approve that work order for the gravel haul?
I'll make a motion to approve the work order for gravel haul in the amount of $258,148.80.
All right, we have a motion, do we have support?
I'll
Support.
support.
Kind of a race there, we'll go trustee Riley on that one. Any further discussion? Roll call on that, please.
Trustee Riley?
Yes. Mhm.
Jackson?
Yes.
Riley?
Yes.
Guzekowski?
Yes.
Rubel?
Yes.
Deland? Yes. Bowen?
Yes.
And Wilkers?
Yes.
Motion carries.
So the next one is on page 9. This is an additional gravel haul for Pine River Road, which could use some extra, and that is between Dove and Smiths Creek. The total project cost is $32,985. The county uses $23,089 of that, and then we would pay $9,895.70. Questions on that one? All right, do we have a motion to approve that work order?
I'll make the motion that we approve the work order for gravel on Pine River Road.
All right, motion by trustee Deland, do we have support?
I'll support.
Support by trustee Bowen. Any further discussion on that one? Roll call on that, please.
Deland? Yes. Bowen?
Yes.
Guzekowski?
Yes.
Rubel?
Yes.
Jackson?
Yes.
Wilkers?
Yes.
And Riley?
Yes.
All right, the next two work orders are for chloride. We sometimes do this twice, sometimes do it once. So the first time we do it will be after the gravel haul. So they'll put the gravel down. Once all the gravel's down, they'll come back through and they'll do a chloride. The second chloride typically gets done right around the start of fall, about school time or right before then, if we need it. If we don't need it, we don't use the second one. Questions on that? All right, do we have a motion on those two?
I'll make the motion that we approve the chloride treatments for $25,931.50
For both of them? Correct.
each.
Yeah, okay. Do we have support for that?
Is it each, or is it?
It is each, yeah.
Okay.
I'll support.
Support by Treasurer Jackson. Any further discussion? Roll call on that, please.
Deland? Yes. Jackson?
Yes.
Guzekowski?
Yes.
Rubel?
Yes.
Bowen?
Yes.
Wilkers?
Yes.
And Riley?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, page 56, we'll start to get into some crossover culverts that need to be replaced. The first one is Mare Road north of Yager. Cost of that one is $9,000. We do have $9,000 in ditching and culvert funds available to us. So we'll probably use it on that first one, and so that first one won't cost us anything, but we still need to approve at $9,000. Questions on that one? All right, do we have a motion to approve the crossover culvert Mare north of Yager?
I'll make a motion to approve the crossover culvert north of Mayor on Mayor Road, or north of Yager on Mayor Road.
All right, motion by Treasurer Jackson, do we have support?
I'll support.
Support by trustee Deland, any further discussion? Roll call on that, please.
Jackson?
Yes.
Deland? Yes. Guzekowski?
Yes.
Rubel?
Yes.
Bowen?
Yes.
Wilkers?
Yes.
And Riley?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, so we have another one near the same location, about 2,000 feet north of that one, on Mayor, north of Yager. That one's $8,500. Questions on that one? All right, do we have a motion on that?
I'd make a motion to approve the
culvert for $8,500 at Mayor north of Yager.
All right, motion by trustee Bowen. Do we have support for that?
I'll support that.
Support by treasurer Jackson. Any further discussion? Roll call on that, please.
Bowen,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Guzekowski.
Yes.
Rubel,
Yes.
Deland. Yes. Lopers,
Yes.
and Riley.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, the next one on page 62 is for Burns and Smiths Creek. This would be on Burns Road, south of Smiths Creek Road. Cost on that one is $8,500. Any questions on that one? All right, do we have a motion on that?
I'll make the motion that we approve $8,500 for the crossover culvert on Burns and Smith Creek.
All right, motion by trustee Deland. Do we have support?
I'd support that.
Support by trustee Riley. Any further discussion? Roll call on that, please.
Deland. Yes. Riley,
Yes.
Guzekowski.
Yes.
Rubel,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Bowen,
Yes.
and Lopers.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, last one is Burns, south of Card Road. That one as well is $8,500. Any questions on that one? All right, motion on that?
I'll make a motion to approve the cleanup of, and replacement of Crossroad Culvert on Burns Road, south of Smith Creek Road. Is that
South of
the right
Card on that one.
Which one's that one? South of Card, yeah. I was on that one.
All right. All right, do we have support for that?
I'll support.
Support by trustee Bowen. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Jackson,
Yes.
Bowen,
Yes.
Guzekowski.
Yes.
Rubel,
Yes.
Deland. Yes. Lopers,
Yes.
Riley.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, we did have one more, sorry. Mare Road, south of Sparling Road. By the way, we budgeted $180,000 in that category, so we have some bigger projects to do yet, but these will take care of all the smaller ones. So this one's Mare, 1,530 feet south of Sparling Road. Any questions on that? All right, do we have a motion on that one?
I'll make the motion that we put the culvert at Mayor Road by Sparling for $10,000.
All right, motion by trustee Deland. Do we have support?
I'll support.
Support by trustee Bowen. Any further discussion? Roll call on that one, please.
Deland. Yes. Bowen,
Yes.
Guzekowski.
Yes.
Rubel,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Lopers,
Yes.
and Riley.
Yes.
Motion carries. I have a question.
Yes.
I'm just wondering do you have any idea what kind of road closures we'll have with those?
Typically, these are just like a day or half-day
Day.
closer. Yep,
I've got a question too, Rob.
Yes.
Is that the county that does all that work?
it is, yep.
So how do they bid that as a contractor? I mean,
Yeah, correct. They're estimating the number of pieces of equipment, the cost of the culvert. So like if we just go back and look at page 69, that's a 65-foot culvert.
okay.
So it's a pretty big size culvert, 14 gauge aluminum, so. So they have 2 trucks, an excavator, a stone, seed, and straw. So they're factoring all that cost in there.
Right on.
If for some reason I've never had them come over that, I have them come back less.
Sure.
So they're pretty good about that. Any other questions on this? All right, moving on, page 71, cemetery board would like some gravel added to the second driveway, and to clean up the parking area out in back of the west area of the cemetery. Were a couple costs you can see on page 72. Morgan Excavating was $6,680. Hammers was $4,000. Do you know if we tried to get any other quotes or not?
That's all that would come in. We did try.
So they'd have to do some clearing to make that work. But this is an area where they go typically to dump the dirt from things like curb box repairs and things of that nature.
So, do you know if these estimates include the fencing? or just the clearing?
The fencing's just gonna be a couple sections, the DPW will do that.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll make the motion that we have, hammers clear the stumps and trees out for $4,000.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion by trustee Deland, support by trustee Lokers. Any further discussion on that? Roll call on that, please.
Deland,
Yes.
Wilkers,
Yes.
Guzekowski,
Yes.
Rubel,
Yes,
Jackson,
Yes.
Bowen,
Yes.
Riley,
Yes.
motion carried.
All right, so page 75, we have a couple of generator things going on. The generator with the 480 power currently is having some issues. To repair that generator is about $5,000. We do have a different generator with 230 power that we can upgrade to the 480. To do that would only be $2,500. So I think the recommendation from you would be the upgrade, is that correct? or-
the $2,500, yes.
Are these some of our newer generators that we just got, that we're talking about?
No,
Okay.
Is this the only, place we could get the estimate from?
yes, they did try to get other ones.
Any type of warranty? Like I see the one wants to put an fuel injector. Is there any type of warranty on?
That would be the one that we're not recommending.
Oh, okay. I do see that's a different one.
I have most of my vehicle work done at Jeremy's, and they do a lot of warranties. Something, they keep track of everything they put on there, and if it has a problem, sometime they replace it, no charge, so.
Any other questions on that? All right, do we have a motion on that one?
Do you want them separate or together?
Well, it's one or the other. I mean,
One
we're,
or, okay.
yeah, we're
I
either
thought we
doing the
had
repair,
two.
we're either doing the repair on the 4,800 or we're doing
The 2,500.
the upgrade on the
On the 230.
230.
So do you have a recommendation?
I recommend that we upgrade for 2,500 and not spend the over $5,000 to fix the other one.
All right, well, I'll make the motion then that we spend $2,500 to upgrade the 230 generator.
All right, we have a motion by trustee Deland. Do we have support for that?
I'll support.
All right, support by treasurer Jackson. Any further discussion? Roll call on that, please.
Deland,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Guzekowski,
Yes.
Rubel,
Yes,
Bowen,
Yes.
Wilkers,
Yes.
Riley,
Yes.
motion carried.
All right, moving on, we have a request for purchase of a sewer inspection camera. Currently, we use these a lot, however, we have to rent them to do so. It's part of our maintenance, so it needs to be done. Just a matter of whether we want to continue to rent or if we are interested in buying something of our own.
How often do they have to be upgraded? You buy one and it's good for 10 years, or?
it does have a warranty, but
Okay.
and how it was explained to me was, we had 3 different sources that we've used in the past. HP was going by the hour,
Oh, yeah.
so they could go nice and slow, so you can see everything that's going on. The other 2 companies, United Resources and Michigan Pipe Inspection, they were going by the foot. So they were zipping down the line as fast as they possibly could. So, but HP is not available all the time anymore. So we've already spent over $50,471 on running this equipment. So we'd be much better off, and we would pay it off within a 2-year period if we just purchased the unit ourselves.
Are there other townships in the area that use these too? I mean, thinking, if it's not always in use, maybe we could even,
That's not something you share.
no? Oh, okay, I didn't know.
Nice try.
Oh, trying to make the township some money if possible.
All right, questions on that? All right, do we have a motion on that?
I'll make a motion to spend $39,577 for the inspection camera.
All right,
I'll
motion-
support that.
Motion by Clerk Rubel. I think Trustee Lokers, I think you had it first. Or
Three of us did, I mean, Jackson, John.
I will go with Trustee Lokers
Split
this
it up
time.
there.
Any other discussion on that? Roll call on that, please.
Rubel,
Yes.
Lokers,
Yes.
Guzekowski.
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes,
Deland,
Yes.
Bowen,
No.
and Riley.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, moving on to Resolution 25-26.
get to it here, there's a bunch of other papers in front of it.
Not sure who put this one in there.
This is so good.
I know, it's just like, this is confusing.
There we go.
Where'd it go?
Oh, it's all confused
We gotta find it here.
before all that. Oh, but it's in here.
Nope.
It should be, I don't know what you did there, George.
There it is. Okay, resolution 2025-26. We have somewhat of an issue here in the township as far as keeping track of the stipends and who's getting a stipend and how they get a stipend, and nobody knows how much that stipend is because it's being put in with the gross wages. So even the auditors don't pick it out. But I think they're gonna do that now eventually, so that's something we need to start looking at. Anyway, this here, the biggest, I've heard people say it saves money because we pay somebody not to take the union insurance. Well, first of all, only one person out of two out of three can get the union insurance. So there has to be two union people in order, with insurance, in order for one non-union person or elected official to get insurance. So that leaves very few options there to who can have insurance and who can't. But to pay somebody to not take, when they've already got insurance coverage, they got their own, like I've got outside insurance, I don't have union insurance, and I pay $370 a month between my wife and I for that insurance. Well, even though I'm not gonna qualify for this if it gets passed, because I don't work 30 hours. But I think the only fair way, so the township's not paying something they shouldn't be paying, is that we only offer a stipend to pay for the amount still owed for that insurance or premiums that you have to pay on top of the original cost of the insurance that you have. That's what this resolution is directed for. Instead of paying $600-700 a month for something that only costing you $300. So that's where I'm at on this. I don't know if anybody got any questions on it. I'm sure there's questions.
I have some issues with it. You know, on page 21, we're talking about what the insurance is. That shouldn't have anything to do with this at all. We're talking about union, non-union, that shouldn't matter. When it comes to offering the benefit, that's determined by ordinance. You know, so we should modify the ordinance if we want to, but we shouldn't be mentioning union and non-union. If we have too many employees that qualify for insurance and we can't offer them the union insurance, we should be offering a different plan to them, not just not giving them insurance if they qualify. And I think we should just strike that whole thing from here. I don't think it's wise for us to put that in there about and I agree that the union contract does stipulate that, but if we have employees that are over 30 hours and they're eligible for insurance, then it shouldn't matter. We should find them insurance because they're eligible for it, whether it's a union insurance or or some other insurance policy that we need to find.
But they have their own insurance. They've got the insurance from where they might have worked before, or what they have where they're at now for elected officials
Totally-
and part-time people.
Totally different issue. I mean, that's a totally separate thing. I'm just saying, I don't think we should be specifying in an ordinance or a resolution exactly what happens if we negotiate with the union and we eliminate the union insurance and we go with something else.
Can't we amend it?
But we already did that.
Oh, we can, but it doesn't make, I mean, the whole idea behind an ordinance is that you're not having to make a whole lot of changes to it, right? So the thing that you're changing is the resolution which determines who's eligible for it, right? So, I mean, the simplest way to do this is to make any modifications that we need to the ordinance which specifies the stipend. So if you want to amend the stipend, then we should amend the ordinance. And the resolution, all it has to say is it's anyone that's full-time. That's all it has to say. I mean, all this other stuff it's not necessary.
Well, the other ones I see had a limit on what was paid out, like the one at.
Well, again, you would specify that in the ordinance, not in the, and this is where we ran into problems before, because that's supposed to be specified in the ordinance, and we adopted a resolution that had a dollar amount in it that violated what was in the ordinance. And the ordinance takes precedence over resolutions. So the way to fix this is if you want to change the stipend, it has to be amended in the ordinance, and then we bring back a resolution that just says, hey, anyone over 30 hours. I mean, it doesn't have to be anything complex.
Yeah, and I look at some of the ordinances, those funds that are paid to the insurer, not the insured.
Again, I don't have a problem with that, George. What I'm saying is that if we're gonna specify that, those things should be specified in the ordinance, not in the resolution. Otherwise, we run into the same issue we had before, and we wanna try to avoid that.
So what we need to do is, make a motion to get rid of all the other ordinance pertaining to that and rewrite a whole new one?
I wouldn't do that. Why would we need to do that?
Well, because none of them seem to be matching before. Nothing matched up. The resolutions and the ordinance didn't all match, and that's why George came up with this.
The resolution and the ordinances will never match. The ordinance and the resolution are two separate mechanisms. The ordinance is specifying the criteria and then the only thing the resolution is supposed to be doing is determining who's eligible.
So we just need to add new language to the ordinance.
Correct. You just need to add new, that's what
I
you're
had
saying.
reached out to the attorney looking for guidance on how to do this, and he wouldn't speak to me, so.
Correct.
Why? Can't he speak to me?
The attorneys no attorney wants a bunch of board members calling them or random
We have the
employees
right
in the
to
office
call
or
him, though.
anybody. I think what he told you was that you should direct your questions through the township supervisor, and I would be glad to ask him any of your questions.
So technically, we can talk to him. And what he told me was he had to speak with you first before he could speak to me.
That's not what he told me, and I had a
That's what
very
he-
direct conversation with him regarding
did
that
too.
after you called him.
I'm sure he called you right away.
But if we go back to the ordinance that was put in place, that was a 40-hour work week too.
Correct, it was, yep.
So
I don't see why
this is
not fine.
refreshing it to the point that instead of taking it away completely, you got something there to support you to those people that may that need the help to pay for what hospitalization they're carrying.
George, all we have to do, again, and same thing I said last week, we need to amend the ordinance with the criteria that you want. That's all we have to do.
So if we adopted this, it would do nothing then? Like, if we adopted this resolution today, it would do nothing?
It would do
wouldn't-
nothing because it violates the ordinance, and the ordinance is superior to a resolution. In fact, I don't think, I mean, again, I'm gonna go back to, we're talking about the specifics of the policy. You never talk about the specifics of a policy in these. Because now your hands are tied, and every time you make a change, now you gotta adopt. That's not what they're meant for.
So wasn't the original ordinance like 1983, and then it was amended in 1995? And then we have a resolution to it in 2013. So,
Yeah, we have multiple resolutions related to that, and again, the resolutions all determine who is eligible. The ordinance determines the mechanisms of the coverage and things like that. So the ordinance would stipulate, like it does now, what the, if there is a stipend, how the stipend works, and then the eligibility would be determined by resolution.
but I think the resolution in 2013
It was incorrect.
made it, so the elected people got it. I don't think the original ones had it.
No, actually, the original resolution had township supervisor, treasurer, and clerk all on there.
Oh, okay.
But it didn't specify, so it was kind of weird, the language on that first one.
Mhm.
It didn't specify exactly what it was. It said supplemental healthcare, and I don't,
Yeah.
it wasn't defined what exactly they meant by supplemental
Who's keeping
healthcare.
track of how many hours they work?
That would be spelled out in this resolution, that there has to be proof of 30 hours, because that's now apparently considered
So what if they don't work
full-time.
30 hours?
If they don't work it on a regular basis, then
Not be eligible.
they would not get it, yes.
Everyone know what a look-back period is?
A what?
I think we went over that when we hired Emily. It's
We
just
did.
gotta kind
Yep,
of
correct. Yep,
average, not
that's correct.
not
Yeah, so we have a,
flat out 30, but.
we use a
but so-
12-month look-back period, so we run reports in the office periodically that tell us how many hours everyone has worked, and we pay attention to that. When you hire somebody, you're making a determination at the time of hire if you believe they'll work 30 hours or more. If you believe they're working 30 more hours, you have to offer insurance. If you're uncertain, then you don't. However, at that 12-month look-back period, when you look back at that 12 months, if they average 30 or more hours, you then have to offer them insurance at that point. So that's how that works. It's
So.
not
How much are they getting
complicated,
right
it's-
now?
what's that?
How much stipend are they getting now?
How much stipend is, are you talking about like for insurance?
Yeah, if they work over 30 hours or more,
It's an,
how much?
it has to
are
be an
they
average
paid
for,
to not take the insurance?
it's an average over the entire year. They have to average 30 hours a week over the entire year.
But she's asking, what's the
Right.
amount of the
I'm getting
stipend
there.
currently?
I was aware what she's asking, thank you. The amount of the stipend is based on the ordinance, which says it's 50% of the cost of the healthcare that the township pays currently. So again, I know there was some comments that changes. Yeah, it does change. Now, I think what Treasurer Jackson wants to propose is to limit that to $250, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yes.
So, that would be a set amount. That wouldn't be a changing amount.
Treasurer Jackson, did you run this by a union business agent and the agent that handles our insurance policies?
No, because I'm not allowed to talk. I used to go through a lawyer all the time if I wanted. He would draw this up to what it should be.
Sure.
So my understanding is that we couldn't get in the front door. So the only thing I'm looking at is I see funds going out the door that should stay in the door. Only put up, where I'm offering something here that's gonna at least give somebody a chance and get a stipend or get that. In fact, I was at 200, and I said, well, maybe I'll increase that to 250. And then I talked about 300, and I'm talking this, well, I'm not gonna get any of it, because I don't work 30 hours. I work anywhere from 20 to 30, and I have worked 40 during tax season, stuff like that. But I'm not gonna work 30 hours when I'm working 20 to get $370. So that's where I'm at. That's just, there's funds being paid out that should not be paid out. And my deal is protect the money of the township. And to be honest with you, just one thing. I got a little petty cash thing in there, and I get in my pocket, I wanna get a snack. I only got, I'm short a dime. I will not, for one night, take that dime out of there to pay for that. That's the type of person I am. But actually, that, to me, is I'm being guilty using township money to pay for a snack. So that's what I feel is going on.
So, George, I mean, Treasurer Jackson, let's be honest. When we look back at the original resolution, the original ordinance back in 1980s, if you didn't take the insurance, you got 100% of what we were paying back in a stipend. 100%.
Yeah, it was different. We weren't even with the
That
union
was
insurance
changed.
back
It doesn't even matter. That's irrelevant. And then we adopted another ordinance that dropped that to 50%, and that's been in place for 20, 30 years. I mean, none of that's changed. I mean, if we don't think that that's the right thing to do, we can certainly change it, but the way to do it is not through a resolution, it's actually to amend the ordinance. I can help you draft that up if you would like to.
I'd like to see it done before the next meeting.
Well, I can change the ordinance, but my deal was that I understood, for what I was told, that you do a resolution to amend the ordinance.
You can't amend an ordinance through a resolution.
Do
You
we
have
need
to
to make a
adopt.
motion for this, Rob?
We can take a motion to bring it back.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we bring this back and we look into changing the language so it meets everybody's understanding and agreeability.
All right, we got a motion by trustee Locust. Do we have support for that?
Yes, I support it.
Support by trustee Riley. Any further discussions on that? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we'll bring that back. Any other additional audience participation this evening? All right, we'll move on to officers' reports. We do have our township cleanup coming up, so I think that is on the 17th.
Yep.
Lots of dates, lots of things going on in May, so we did some posts about that. Hopefully, trustees, if you haven't signed up, we just like to have someone out here to help us check IDs, make sure that everyone that's coming in is a township resident. You don't have to unload anybody, although
We do.
we wind up doing it. I mean, so.
But I do have community service.
I will tell you that the worst one were the tires, so the other stuff wasn't bad. Those tires, oh my goodness, that was bad. But I appreciate everyone that comes out to help. It makes things run smoothly. Our community, we usually fill up 5 or 6 dumpsters, and that's just a lot less stuff that's hanging out there, so appreciate that very much. I would encourage you to be here on the 22nd. I think for the EGLE consent open hearing meeting, I think it'll help you as a trustee understand what that consent order is. If residents have questions about that, you'll be educated and be able to answer their questions. And it also gives you an opportunity to ask questions. Like, I have a lot of questions. Like, I would like to know, how I can expect EGLE to enforce the deadlines when they didn't enforce the requirement to have a deadline the first time around. So I want to make sure that they're going to enforce that and these corrections get made. And I think that's all I got. I think I covered everything else with the landfill stuff, so. Yep, I'm good. All right, clerk Rubel.
The newsletters went out, hopefully everybody got one? Yep. Okay, good. The DPW is going to be pouring the foundations here within the next week or two. They did have the 3rd large water main break at the outlet mall in 2 years. The outlet mall it's running about 14 feet deep right in there for the water main, which is quite deep. Yeah, so we had a very big water break out there.
All right, Treasurer Jackson.
Okay. I've been working on the fire contracts to bring money into the township. As far as what I've got and what I'm working with, we had 1,453 calls. St. Clair had 50, Clyde had 27, Wales had 80, Kimball had 1,252, and mutual aid, we had 44 calls on mutual aid. You break that down, St. Clair is 3.44%, Clyde is 1.86, Wales is 5.51, Kimball's 86.17, and mutual aid is 3.03. Now, cost of the fire department, $692,000. That's what the budget was, plus the funds that are being taken out of the tax fund. Come to $692,157. So how to figure these contracts, I take the 3.4 pence and multiply, or divide that around into that. St. Clair will have a contract of $23,810.21. Clyde, $12,874.12. Wales, Wales could be anything, but this is from the territory that we did have, $38,137.86, but that could go up to $59,000 based on how much territory they want us to handle. Whether we go to Wales Center, and then we take some of Emmett's territory, which we really don't want that because of the distance and time of getting there. That brings it down to Kimball, if it broke down out of that, $596,431.82. Mutual aid, roughly would be, if we don't get any money from mutual aid, it'd be $20,972.36. That's probably,
Is that what it cost us, George? To help us?
if you figure it out percent-wise, yes.
Okay.
It's come up to the $692,157.16. That is in the, what's been used in the tax account and the fire department's budget, so.
Do you know approximately what we're collecting from the millage toward that?
Close to 500,000, I've got
I
that.
thought you said it was close to,
Yeah.
okay.
It's more than that, it's a little more than 500,000, but we get, the county will pay us the difference between what we're supposed to get and what we've collected. We get, should be in the check any day in that area. They've all been notified, all the St. Clair's been notified of the amount, Clyde's been notified, Wales is still talking back and forth to how much territory we're gonna handle. As far as the financial end of it, I brought in the CD from Chase Bank, a little over $250,000. So that one no longer is out there with a savings account for water, so it went into the water department. Cash distribution is at $2,124,931.83. We do have a new account, a special assessment account, public fund assessment, a savings account at that dealing with the senior citizens home, that area there behind the Amical Station or whatever it is now on Gratiot and Range.
It's a marathon.
It's Marathon now? It was Amical.
It was.
Yeah. And that's $535,021.98. I'm gonna have Rob just explain what that's gonna be used for, just so everybody gets the right thought on that.
Same thing any special assessment would get used for, it's for the cost of running water and sewer.
Right. But who gets paid what out of that? That's what,
Well, there's obviously, there's attorney fees, they get paid out of that as well, so. We don't, on special assessments, we work with a bond attorney and with a financial advisor. They get paid out of that as well.
the tax account is still sitting at $56,728.18. I'm working on that, getting the delinquent personal properties distribution out. That's next on my, I've started it, but time goes away. Trust and agency, $42,571.27. Payroll account, that's a payroll account, plus performance bond account. That's money that we take to make sure a project gets done. We hold it till it's done, and then they get it back. The utility account's at $1,241,463.58. I'll just round off the 4 CDs and money markets we still have Adfield's just a little under 105,000. Huntington's just a little over 279,000. Tri-County's just a little over 265,000. North Star, 261,000. I may bring Tri-County back in, that's also a water sewer fund account deposit. All right, that's all I have.
Trustee Lokers?
I talked to Jeff Frazier today. He said that on the 20th, somebody from Teltow will be here to explain the Brownfield to us. He gave me a little overview, and it makes a lot more sense hearing it from him, but I mean, we'll see. We've been talking to this man by the name of Jay Folsky on the Planning Commission.
Yep.
And I've been looking into him, and I haven't found anything in the ordinances, but it seems we're growing. I mean, we've had good experience with Kimball Commons, but with Jay's project, it seems like we'll be having a massive influx in rentals. So it behooves me to think that maybe we should put an ordinance into place to protect residents. You know, I mean, I've read some bad reviews on the guy, and, you know, maybe that was in the past, maybe he's changed his ways, but putting an ordinance together to hold people accountable. You know, you look at the situation in St. Clair where an entire complex burned up. If we have a landlord that's not taking care of little stuff, we don't wanna have a situation like that. So, that's what I got.
Okay. Trustee Deland?
I just got a couple questions. Have we applied for the tire grant?
I did not. I know you were gonna try to reach out to them
I
and see if.
still have a couple phone calls.
Okay.
So no?
We're working on it.
And where are we at on the new fire truck? Is it ordered yet, or?
Yeah, we're ordering
I have an
one.
answer. He
Okay.
called me the other day, says, we're looking at October for final inspection. So between us heading out to South Carolina, South Dakota. I was a little depressed too, he said South Dakota, in October too, but just, that's the plan. So it's coming up here shortly.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
All right, trustee Bowen?
No, nothing.
Trustee Riley?
Yeah, I got something that I was contacted by 4 different individuals about the blight, how bad it is, and I personally drove out to the areas and that was in question. And this isn't anything to do with Neil Erickson, by the way. He's got enough to do as a building inspector, but we need somebody that, I know this one individual out there, the area that he has got vehicles, junk, you name it, it's on right-of-ways, it's on neighbors' property that they don't wanna tell them, you know, to get it off. He pays, gets fined the $500 deal. After that, his mother pays that and they continue on with life. And
It's actually a warrant out for his
Huh?
arrest. There's actually a warrant out for his arrest.
there's a warrant.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'd be happy to
Like a
make
blight
sure we
warrant?
get somebody on
No, he didn't
that.
pay the ticket and didn't show up in court.
Oh,
I think,
We have 2 of those now.
I didn't know that we had, I didn't know we could do that. It's a
Yeah,
it's a
the-
court warrant though,
Yeah.
it's not like
Mhm.
from us.
Yeah.
yeah, what I was gonna suggest, the attorney, it's time for the attorneys to get involved. We get a court, if you got a warrant for the guy out there, that can be, and besides that, maybe there's other things going on out there. But that place, that area, I'm embarrassed to say that it's in the township that we own, and we represent the people of the township. The area that I drove through that was suggested by these 4 people, I could not believe what's out there. It is just, it's embarrassing.
It is, but I can tell you, and I know we've talked about it before, because we've had other people where
Yeah.
we've gone to court and the township has been able to go in and clean up, and we don't want that job.
No, not with cleaning that
Like, we don't
soil.
wanna be responsible for that.
Well, yeah, we had a
Because
choice
it's all
of
about
either
the
we do it
reimbursement.
and we charge them for it,
And
or it's somehow through the court system. He has so many days to do it.
Well, he gets that, so, he already gets that, right? The court, every time he pays a ticket, they tell him you've got 30 days to clean up. He doesn't clean up, we issue another ticket, his parents pay the ticket, we go through this cycle over and over and over and over again. Last time he doesn't show up, so they issue a warrant. Obviously, they don't go searching for him. If he gets pulled over or something, they'll arrest him for not paying the ticket and being in court. By the way, we had another person who actually did get arrested maybe 2 weeks ago. Same situation, they didn't show up in court over on Ashley and Range. So we've ticketed that one multiple times. We can't clean up until we get a court order to clean up. So when the court finally says enough's enough, Kimball Township, go clean up, then we have the authority to go in there and clean up. We have to pay those costs up front for the cleanup, and then we bill the resident. Typically, the resident doesn't pay that bill, then we put a lien on the property. Half the properties where we've done this to, they've gone into tax foreclosure, the county wipes the lien off, and then we get nothing.
Oh.
So, I mean, that could happen in this case. My concern with this particular one is, when you start going into the junkyard now, we're talking
Years of pollution.
probably millions of dollars. I mean,
Well,
you're talking about a whole,
Yeah, I agree and I understand that, but if we don't put our foot down and say, okay, and the court will work with us, I know that, I've done a lot of court work, and I don't have a problem with following up with our attorneys to find out, okay, what's the next step for this? Somehow it has to be done, otherwise they pay the fine and we blow us off and it's still there, and the people that live in that area, I'd be totally embarrassed if people rode through those areas and thought, why don't you guys do something about it? It's just the point of ridiculous.
yeah, unfortunately, we don't have any kind of police powers as a
Well, that's,
general law.
Gets reviewed.
you know, some townships and some cities have a police officer that is the enforcer for blight. Not Neil Erickson, and nothing against Neil. Neil's got plenty to do. For him to spend time driving out, filing a paper and for court action, that's a waste of time. What we need to do is have somebody of law enforcement, especially when you're dealing with somebody that is that stupid to have property around filled up with junk and vehicles and you name it out there, and
Still
they
doesn't
know
give
they're
us
getting
the-
away
yeah.
with it. What are you gonna do about
I mean,
it?
the thing is, it
Well,
still
I
doesn't
say
give us the
there's
power to go
gotta
in there
be.
and do anything. That's
Huh?
the problem is it doesn't give us the power to go in there and do anything.
Well,
At some point in
I'll bet
time-
we can get the power.
At some point in time, a judge is going to rule and tell Kimball Township, like they have in the multiple other situations that we have, hey, you can go in there and clean up. At that point, then we go in there and clean up.
Well-
But we have to have that authorization from the court itself. I mean, that's,
Well, then I would like to contact,
We cleaned it up.
if we got our attorney involved and get with the court, I know we can get it.
the attorney is involved. I mean, anytime we go to court, the attorney has to be there. Neil can't represent him by himself. The attorney has to be there. So every time we go to court, the attorney is there.
It's what?
The attorney's present every time we go to court.
Yeah,
Neil
okay,
can't
but,
represent the township.
but
the
right now,
attorney
they're
has
not
to.
doing anything. We're just bouncing day to day, and the guy's paying the fines, and we're getting, it looks terrible.
I agree.
And I think it's time that we put our foot down and say, okay, the attorney, if he says to the court, we need something, and I got no problem sitting down with any of the judges and talking about it. In fact, I'll probably do that. to find out what we can do, because I know
Have to be good.
we don't have to have that person sitting there laughing, paying a few bucks and living in that trash city.
I like them.
That's terrible.
I like them.
So, anyway, just,
He says you should.
I had one more thing, Rob. This was surprising to me too. I haven't heard this accusation in years. But I had a resident reach out to me and say there's a serious drug problem in the back section of Somerset Meadows.
I
And we're
read
not
that
probably
years ago.
talking growing marijuana. I mean, it's probably something elevated to that. I just instructed them, I said, if you know it's legit, call MSP or your local sheriff's department.
DEA, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, the
we
best thing to
can't-
do is
we
call the,
can't police that.
no, but I do have a contact with Drug Task
Right,
Force, so I mean,
but
I can
that's what
reach
we
out
do.
to them and
Yeah,
say, hey, make them aware of it if they're not aware of it already.
Yep.
yeah, the DEA, we go in there and
That
make
was
some
Somerset
undercover
Meadows, you
buys
said?
and.
There you go.
Said Somerset Meadows?
Yeah. At least have a car roll through and
Yeah.
keep everybody on their toes.
I heard that same thing though, like, years ago.
I did too,
just don't like-
you know, but it's, people come, people go, and
Yeah,
sometimes their problems come with them.
All right.
Barb had a good question. Does he have a junkyard license?
Yes.
He does.
yeah,
Yep.
I think we brought that up once.
Does it get renewed?
Well, there's gotta be terms on it, like he has to meet a certain.
There are terms, yeah, and I think, Chief
Right,
Grants, I
renew
think
his
you go periodically
His
out
mom's
there.
sharp. She
I
fills
go out
out
there,
the-
but my recommendation is not to renew it ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's gotta be fire code hazards, for
Oh,
sure.
Which is horrible, but, you know, we pre-planned the site, so if something happens there, it'll be a while before it gets up.
Well, back when they told him that he had to put up a fence that you couldn't see through, he brought in a whole bunch of motorhome lines.
That's
So you couldn't
creative.
see through 'em.
What a creative guy.
Can't see through them, can you?
You go up
Right.
to Linwood, up north of Bay City,
The old days.
the place was just like that up there. Now, every single thing is lined up,
Yeah.
Right.
It's all lined
And,
up.
and, you know, it's not funny, the people that live out there in the area
Poor
are,
Carol Owens, she's got so many cars on her property. she
yes,
can't
and she's
concentrate.
scared to death of him, because he told her, if you ever call the police again, I'll blow your house up.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty threatening.
He is,
which
and,
one is this?
and you're scared of him.
Brandon,
The one you're
the,
talking about.
Brandon, yeah.
yeah, he's quite a badass.
He's very personable when you talk, when you talk to him, I mean, it's just like.
Watch him on social media, he's
I don't
tough.
do-
Oh,
I
man,
don't
he's
do
a,
that,
he's a
but-
tough guy.
But I'm just saying,
All right.
it's a mess.
It's too bad that they have to live in fear of him.
It is, I'm just saying, we don't want the cost.
Yeah, I
of
mean,
living
that's,
to
I
clean it
tell them
up.
to call the sheriff's department. I mean, we don't have
We don't have the,
the
The means.
personnel or the means to police that. All right, trustee Riley, anything else there, sir?
No, I'm all set tonight, thanks.
All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn at 7:53.
I'll
All right,
support.
motion. We have support. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Just once I like to oppose that,